After collecting the Keller family holotapes, we have nothing left to do other than to head to the National Guard depot and see if the family made it inside. The location can be discovered on the world map just here. By continuing southeast from Rock Creek Caverns, we stumble across a random ammo crate. Just around the corner is another one. Continuing on, we see two tables, but before we have the chance to investigate, two Protectrons open fire. On the table we find an assault rifle, an ammo crate just behind it, and a first aid box on the floor. To the east is the National Guard depot parking lot, with some long abandoned military trucks. The first three we search leave us empty-handed, but the fourth has some more ammunition, all being 10mm. Heading through the broken fence we see the sign, National Guard Depot. Just below that, Enlist Today. Here we find a Nuka-Cola vending machine and a collection of posters. Support the troops. Buy war bonds today. Courage today. Victory tomorrow. With nothing left to explore outside, we head through the facility's entrance. Inside is complete ruin, a gas leak on the left, and the faint sound of a radio to the right. We can also hear the quiet whirring of a sentry bot. The cubicles to our right have nothing worth mentioning, and the gas trap on the left could be a problem. I decided to use a missile launcher to use up the gas, which did work, but it also broke my weapon. The sentry bot sounded suspiciously close, so I decided to use the stairs to get a better look. The building is in worse condition than I originally thought. Let's search the lower floor first. Down here we find the source of the radio, a tiny workbench, and not much else. Heading back up, we can loot the sentry bot and start thinking about where to go next. I decided to keep the wall on my right hand side, and as I was jumping to check the top shelf for any hidden goodies, a turret shot me in the back. Ignoring the turret for now and heading through the doorway, we catch a quick glimpse of a robo-brain on the lower level. I don't think it saw me. Continuing with our search, we seem to have entered some sort of communications room. Terminals, radios, and large machines with an unknown purpose litter the room. As we head around to the other side, the robo-brain makes an entry. All we find here is a broken staircase. Now back at the main entrance, we take the only doorway left. As soon as we enter, that familiar dame's voice can be heard. On the workbench is a bottle cap mine. This could come in handy. And on the desk are a few stray bottle caps. Repeating the same process by searching the lower floor first and keeping the wall to our right hand side, we proceed through an open door and see the robo-brain we took care of moments earlier. In the corner of the room is a turret control system. Let's go ahead and deactivate those. Past the wrecked robo is the now functionless turret and a jail cell. All of the personal lockers are empty though. Exiting this room, we see another sentry on the floor above, and there's still another that can be heard off in the distance. To the right is a utility door that cannot be picked and requires an alternative power source. The switch must be somewhere deeper in the facility. The only door left is that of a maintenance cupboard with a Tumblers Today skill book and lots of junk. Backtracking to the staircase and this time taking it to the upper floor, we find two pre-war books atop a shelving unit, and behind the obstructive pipe, the way we came in. Across the unstable flooring is a first aid box and a broken wall exposing a series of pipes. Behind these is the sentry bot we heard earlier. There doesn't seem to be a way of getting to the higher floor from here, and there's only the one doorway for us to go through. On the other side we find the rest of the broken staircase and a tightly packed office area. The door at the far end leads to the other side of the exposed wall and takes us down a corridor that has seen better days. Guarding this strip of rubble are 2 active turrets, but the terminal control system doesn't seem to be nearby. I guess we have to take them out. To the side of where the turrets were is a doorway. Heading through, we find an empty room and a lone terminal. Even though the turrets are now destroyed, we might as well deactivate them on the off chance the terminal is connected to other turrets that we haven't yet seen. At the end of the corridor is some sort of reception area. From here we can look down at the utility door. Still no switch though. Teetering on the edge is a desk with a box. Inside are a pack of mentats and some pre-war money. The final room of this area that we can reach is a break room filled with vending machines, eatertronics, and an adequate amount of seating. The floor above is just out of reach. Trust me, I tried. At the back wall is a door leading to the depot training wing. Immediately to our left are a number of office cubicles with plenty of caps. After looting these, we are interrupted. How many more of these can there be? More bottle caps in the other desks, and a doorway leading to a corridor. There's a turret to the left, but directly across is a small room with a green glow. I think I know what that means. With that taken care of, we have a choice, left or right. So far the turrets have been guarding the way forward, so let's head left. At the end is a first aid box and a set of stairs leading up. Following these leads to a large office joined to another large office via broken wall. Here we find a Tales of a Junktown Jerky vendor, a pre-war book, and a box of sugar bombs. That's all for now. At the other end of the corridor we enter into what looks like a requisitions office. There are a selection of weapons, combat helmets, and ammunition. Continuing onwards we see 2 restrooms, nothing good here. But through the double doors we stumble across the facility's firing range. Turning off our Pip-Boy light and sneaking to the table in front, we find a sniper rifle. We can use this to repair our current one and have ourselves a little target practice. That didn't go as well as I'd hoped for. Let's try something else.
Use of lethal force in progress.
I noticed a lot of items fly around when the missile hit, so I hope I don't miss anything. Behind the counters are some ammo crates, assault rifles, and another 2 combat helmets. At the far end of the firing range is a door. Behind this are several first aid kits, a floating filing cabinet, and the door to the depot offices. Both of the paths leading left and right are caved in, but a door across the hallway can be used. More defenses. There are many desks here that are occasionally filled with caps and random pieces of ammo. There's a terminal to deactivate the turrets we destroyed, and a patrolling sentry bot. It was looking through all of these cubicles that got me thinking. Excluding the security terminals, we haven't found a single one that works. We have to remember that this place used to be an operational military base. It's likely that when the bombs dropped, the soldiers were given orders to destroy any information that the enemy could potentially benefit from, and that's why we don't find any working. That led me to my next question. What happened to everyone? This place must have been filled with soldiers at the time of the Great War, but there's not a single skeleton in sight. I can think of a few reasons as to why this place is empty. The soldiers were relocated to a safer location away from DC, but there's still vehicles outside, which leaves me doubting. The soldiers were ordered to aid the civilians in the city and the surrounding towns, and then died from a nuclear blast or radioactive fallout. Or the soldiers simply left over time and buried their dead outside. That's all I can think of. If you have another theory as to what happened, I would love to hear it. Climbing the stairs leads to a long desk with more broken terminals and a sneaky robo-brain, another sentry bot, and more officers. On the table is a copy of Duck and Cover, which pretty much sums up this area. Using the fallen ceiling to reach the upper levels, we can walk around the remaining pieces of floor for some more bottle caps. At the end of a collapsed hallway, we find the door leading to the National Guard depot, which, at long last, brings us to the power switch needed to open the utility door. As the lever is used, the sound of grinding steel can be heard below, and a blinking yellow light begins to dance. There's nothing else around us, only the floor leading down to the break room from earlier. Jumping down, we can get a better shot at the sentry. And we're finally through the door. Inside is another switch which reveals a set of stairs leading down, and at the end of a short passageway, the door to the National Guard armory. One more switch and we're in. Still no sign of the Keller family, but we do find a whole host of radiation suits, combat armor, a minigun and missile launcher with plenty of ammunition, radaway, stimpaks, and clean drinking water. This place has it all, including the small gun's bobblehead. The inscription reads, "Because it's easier to have courage from a safe distance away." The last thing of interest is a terminal beside another steel door. With the Keller family code, we can activate the bunker access terminal and go inside. Instead of seeing the steel and concrete walls that we've seen so far, we see a dimly lit tunnel, wooden support beams, and a rocky floor. Not exactly the standards you would expect from the military, unless they didn't have enough time to finish the building process. Heading in, we see several tall shelves and a slight curve leading deeper inside. There are minor pieces of loot that we can take from the shelves, and as we finish searching, we are interrupted by a glowing ghoul. In the feral's pocket, we find nothing of any particular interest, and nothing pointing towards their identity. Ignoring the junk to our right, we keep walking until we find a unique fat man, dubbed the Experimental MIRV, and 5 mini-nukes. This atomic catapult deals the most damage in the entire game, and acts as a sort of fat man shotgun. It fires 8 mini-nukes at once, which is just ridiculous, and I can't imagine a situation where I would actually use this weapon. The MIRV is more of a novelty weapon and is the perfect definition of overkill. Turning around, we see a number of bunk beds, and spread across the bottom 2 mattresses and the floor in front are 3 skeletons. Now the father, mother, Tina, and Candace were the ones who decided to try and make it inside. Ralph didn't want to spend the Holocaust with his father, and Alex was arrested after getting caught, so there should be 4 skeletons, unless the glowing ghoul we just encountered is the 4th family member. There is a piece of cut content that hints as to who this glowing ghoul could be. Before the game's release, the diary of Candace Keller should have been found somewhere inside the bunker, but was for some reason removed. The diary reads, "Dad just won't listen to a word I say. He keeps leaving the bunker to salvage supplies from the rest of the base. I understand he's bored, cooped up in here, but so are the rest of us. And the bunker is secure. Every time he leaves, he exposes all of us to that damn radiation. After all of the effort it took us to get us in here, Dad's willing to throw it all away just because he's a bit antsy. I really hate him sometimes." If we believe this diary to be true, then the dad really was a restless, thoughtless idiot. Candace explained that they were all exposed to radiation, so maybe there's a chance that all 4 of them became ghouls, but the father's prolonged exposure led him to becoming feral, killing and feeding on the remains of his family. Maybe the family died from the radiation while the father was out salvaging, and he returned to find the others just as we have. With nothing left to live for, the father could have allowed himself to turn rather than taking anti-rads, and willingly became a ghoul, so he would have to live with his guilt for as long as time would allow. This is of course just speculation, but I would be interested in hearing your thoughts on the situation. And there we have it, the Keller family refuge, the National Guard depot, and the ridiculous Experimental MIRV. Before you go, I would like to remind you of 5 things you could do to support the channel. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and enable notifications. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next adventure.